Hello again, basketball fans, hoop heads, and fantasy freaks around the world. It is Rick Kamla with the legendary Aaron Bruski. We are the Fantasy NBA. Today, we are going to break down the weekend that was. We'll have some must-add pickups for you. We'll have streamers coming up for tonight, ATS, Ricky Props. We got it all for you, man. We want to tell you about our great sponsor, Bet Online. They are the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball, NHL, UFC, and more. Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, Bet Online has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online. The game starts here. Brew, let's get into our weekend recap, man, and some must-add players. And how you doing, dude? Great to be back on the air with you.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I did spend probably an entire weekend just looking at numbers, looking at film, looking at the Philadelphia 76ers, JV unit. It's been a great weekend of pure basketball insanity. I'm excited. I know everybody's either in their fantasy playoffs, or if you're in roto leagues, you're getting ready for that final push. So there's a lot on the line, and I'm very excited to talk about it all.
Okay, just super quick here. Before we launch into the must-add players, I got a little email from the commissioner of a thing called 30 Deep.
Oh, yeah.
His name is Aaron Bruski.
Yeah.
And I found in that email that Aaron Bruski and Rick Kamla play this week in a momentous clash of the Titans. And I don't like this, Brew, because you're my boy, but I want to win, right? And so I know, I wish I was playing Andre Snellings or one of the guys from the other division, right? Just fantasy beasts that I don't know. But I know you, and I really don't want to kick your ass, but also I kind of do want to kick your ass. I'm very conflicted, bro.
I hate this. I hate the injury excuse that's about to come out of my mouth, but I got two injured dudes, man, and I'm looking at your team, and you're pretty healthy. Dear Father, I pray that Walker Kessler's not hurt and he takes the entire rest of the season off, or at least this week. That would be great. That would be great. That would be great. And why do you have all the good players on your team? I hate this. You have Orlando Robinson. That's a great pickup, sir.
Thank you.
The Isaiah Joe draft pick, I presume, that's going to pay off for you. Jordan Hawkins is going to pay off for you. Keldon Johnson's going to pay off for you. Zach LaVine of Not My Sacramento Kings is going to pay off for you. This is not great. And you even have Justin Champagnie on your bench. I hate you, sir. I'm going to lose. That's okay. But, I have two major injuries, and Amin Thompson's out, and so is Daniel Gafford. So congratulations on your advancement. If you lose to me, I will never let you hear the end of it, sir.
Wow, that was a whole lot of sandbagging. So I am going to reserve the right later on this weekend, like a Thursday or Friday, to counter that sandbagging with some sandbagging of my own. That is, if I'm not completely bludgeoning you at that point. But if it's a close game, I will be sending that sandbag right back over the net. So I lost Brandon Williams. And I think Dr. Ray had a voodoo doll of Brandon Williams and stuck pins in him because talk to Andre Lemouche, our great producer. Doc was furious at me for beating all of y'all to Brandon Williams on the 30 Deep waiver wire. He had a huge game and then was having another great game, and he left with a hamstring injury. So now I can't play him. So I took a little bit of a hit as well. But I think Doc ruined Brandon Williams for me and the rest of the fantasy basketball world.
Sounds feasible.
But you're not mad at that.
No, no. I mean, that's pretty sad because he was lined up to have a great rest of season, and I have not checked the news this morning. I know that that's sacrilegious right now, but I have not checked the news this morning. Have we gotten an update on that hamstring? It's one of the biggest stories to me.
We have not. I mean, he'll be questionable, I'm sure. I think they list him as day-to-day. Andre may have a little bit more intel on it, but I look, it's 30 Deep is a weekly league. You got to set your lineup, and you're just stuck with whatever. So I cannot play Brandon Williams this week. I am playing Walker Kessler. He did not play yesterday. I presume that was a part of a back-to-back, and they'll play him tonight. It's a 4-game week for Utah. I am not anticipating getting 4 games out of Walker Kessler, but hopefully I get two big games like the 25-18 with 8 blocks game he had on Friday. So
Kessler, do you know how well Cooper Flagg will fit in Utah? Come on now.
I mean, dude, they kind of don't need him. You have Markkanen, you have Kyle Filipowski. By the way, what a revelation Kyle Filipowski has been. And Brew, you woke me up.
Hey,
I was
woke,
Filipowski Van Winkle, dude. You woke me up on him.
Stay woke, everybody. Stay woke. We got this. Kyle Filipowski takes us to the promised land. I promise.
Dude, his numbers are so let's get into some must-add players. And I want to start with Filipowski, Brew. And I'll just talk about one guy and get into your list here. Friday, Filipowski, 17, 5, and 3, 2 steals, 2 threes. Sunday, a non-Kessler game, 25, 7, and 3, 3 steals, 4 threes. Guys, the goodies weren't there. Okay, we're starting to see some percolation in the defensive stats from Filipowski, which at the beginning of this little surge were not there. And the 3 ball was like 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 1, 0. Like it was right around 1, right? He's clicking off at a much higher 3 rate right now, too. And Brew, you opened my eyes. Remember, I was in Streamerville with Filipowski. If Kessler's out, I rock him, right? You're like, no, you got to take a closer look. Picked him up in the Cam Dynasty. And I'm going to have a hard time, Brew. We keep 15. We start 8. We got a 7 bench. And so we keep 18. And I make everybody cleanse their rosters. So you have to have some tough roster decisions. You can't carry your IR guys into the next year. You got to get your roster to 15. Then we draft. I'm going to have a tough time cutting Filipowski, bro. I'm telling you right now.
I don't know that I would do it. I remember watching him. I think it was against the Kings, maybe against somebody else. And, thinking, okay, this is the guy that keeps getting 18 minutes a game no matter what. And everybody else is kind of moving around him. And then I'm watching him on the court and I'm like, that dude just yammed on everybody. Like, what's this? And then he's like on the court and he gets this little like athletic steal and he's a pretty big guy. I'm like, what's that? That's not what I thought this was. And it's just been a series of those kinds of observations with him. It's like, oh, he does a little more here. He does a little bit more there. And the fact that they have him as the piece that doesn't move, he's a 27-minute guy kind of irregardless of what's going on around him now. It makes sense. He does a little bit of everything. So I think I don't know if he'll top out over 30 down the stretch because they've got a lot of losing that they need to do in Utah. But it's it is what it is. I think he's good enough to command the minutes. From a statistical standpoint. And then going into next season, I think he's earned 20 minutes no matter what. So we'll see where he can go from there.
They may make some moves as well. I Brew, just a quick take here, and I want to get into your must-add players list. Utah's got to end the tank, man. You're tanking again for Cooper Flagg. We all see it. We all own it. You gotta get out of the tank because if you have Collins, you have maybe Flagg and Markkanen and Kessler, and you've got all these guards. You're going to win games. Okay, you will literally be a play-in tournament team if you just played it straight. And I know you don't want to be in the middle and all that, but damn it, Utah, the whole basketball world is tired of it. So, Brew, let's get into your must-add players list from the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if we've already sort of stipulated that Brandon Williams is kind of the guy if he stays healthy, so that I almost think is a speculative ad. But even with this hamstring stuff, watching the film of it, he reached down, he grabbed it, and then he finished out the play. He finished out 2 plays actually. So I looked at, it's not like Domantas Sabonis where he literally called out and said, I'm out, and I'm thinking Sabonis might have another week or so. So a 2-weeker for Brandon Williams, he comes back. There's still nobody there. There's a lot of momentum to keep Brandon Williams on rosters in fantasy leagues. I think that's probably an easy statement to make. Adam Bona is somebody that I think at this point in time might be the most intriguing fantasy play out there because we've seen maybe 1 or 2 games like this where he's come in and he's had some stats and he'd been surrounded by enough bad games when he's had the opportunity. And then of course you've got players ahead of him and they were actually competing, so to speak, air quotes for that. So you never really thought this was this was possible, but so he gets 2 steals, 5 blocks. The rest of the stat line was like 15 and 15 the other night. I don't have it in front of me right now. That really got everybody's attention. And what I noticed about 4 or 5 weeks ago is when Philly started bringing in all the wings and adding them to the roster, people feeling like that this is like them maybe gearing up for a playoff run. What I thought was like, okay, this thing's over. They're gearing up to tank. They're gearing up for whatever the final third of the season is going to look like. And then you get a report over the weekend where all of the key guys are going to be held back going forward. And then I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this is probably really bad for even, the top end guys. Then you get 10 minutes out of Andre Drummond in this game. And I'm sitting there going, okay, so they've really pivoted. And then everybody on the bench gets big minutes and you get this big production. So Adam Bona is probably on the top of that center list where you can get good field goal percentage. You could get steals and blocks. You could get rebounds and you might even get points out of this thing. So he's probably the top speculative, who knows what you're going to get at, and has a ton of upside. So I think unless you don't need a big man, unless you are really stacked in a more shallow league, I think a speculative ad for Adam Bona could pay off huge down the stretch. And then Justin Edwards is the other guy there. It feels like everybody else is going to be part of the tanking plan and sort of kicked out of this thing. And they can continue to lose with Justin Edwards on the court. Ricky Council, Jeff Doughton Jr., who else am I? Lonnie Walker had a massive line over the weekend. The list kind of goes on and on in Philly at the bottom of their rotation for people to take a look at. But Adam Bona at the top of that list, and Justin Edwards might be my number 2 of the people that's not people we've talked about the last 4 weeks.
Boy, you think about Jared McCain. Golly, this would be Jared McCain season, dude. He'd be killing it. I think Grimes is going to be good to go, Brew. Since we're having a little thought bubble Philly conversation here, are you worried about a shutdown for Grimes, or you think they want to showcase him?
He was part of the list of players that Nick Nurse said that they weren't going to push that hard down the stretch. So Kelly Oubre, Gershon Yabusele, like that trio was specifically cited by Nick Nurse. And then you get this Andre Drummond 10-minute outing. And it's unclear did he play 10 minutes just because he was hurt, or because something else is on the radar. You got a back-to-back tonight with Atlanta where they're just trying to kind of conserve him. But when you get to the bench part of their box score and you see 32 minutes for Adam Bona, Jared Butler 29 minutes, he had 15 and 9 with 3 triples, a steal and a block. That was another eye catcher. Lonnie Walker, Ricky Council Jr. I don't think Tyrese Maxey or Paul George play again this season. Maxey questionable for Monday. Maybe a couple more games. They got a little help in the standings last night with a loss by Brooklyn. Was it Brooklyn? Let me see here. Let me get my standings out. It was, lost by Brooklyn. So they're a little bit more connected to Chicago at 28 games back for Chicago, 31.5 for Phillies. They're 3.5 games out. So maybe they think, okay, hey, we got a slight chance at the 10 seed. We'll try to do something with this. But I really think that they're trying to lose games, make sure that they fall at least equal with Brooklyn and Toronto in the win column. And I think they're going to throw everything at getting 6 seed, or probably 6 pick or better to keep their pick.
Aaron Bruski, you've done it again.
Thank you, sir.
This is the Fantasy NBA Today with Aaron Bruski and Rick Kamla. Brew, I went to Cam Dynasty and I picked up a Dembana. I did.
I can't believe that happened just now.
You told me to pick up Filipowski. I did. He's been flourishing. I started him over Brook Lopez yesterday. Okay. I never bench Brook Lopez. The threes, the blocks. I know he's kind of fading a little bit, but I played Filipowski over Brook Lopez yesterday, and it wasn't even a debate, and Filipowski went crazy. So you the man, Brew. You the man. All right, let me give you a couple more of my must-add from the weekend. Guys, have you picked up Najee Marshall yet?
Ooh.
Have you done it yet? Okay, I told you last week when Kyrie Irving blew the tire. Me and Doc were like, okay, where do we go here? Najee Marshall is what I told you. And I told you that this is not a linear position thing. Okay, Kyrie's out, who's the backup point guard? It's not like that. They are so screwed in Dallas. They finished the game with 7 guys yesterday, okay? They're so screwed in Dallas. It's about minutes. It's not even about position. So I was like, dude, Najee's going to get 1,000,000 minutes. He's a dog. He's not going to let go of the rope. Over the weekend, 29, 17, and 2, 2 steals, 1 3. That was Friday's line. Sunday, yesterday, flirted with a triple-double, 34, 9, and 10. I spotted from Najee Marshall some of the non-Zion games in New Orleans. And I was like, this guy's got so much more game than his role allows him to show. Well, now he's kind of the guy. And we're seeing that Najee Marshall's really a heck of a player. Go pick him up. I don't know what his roster percentage is. I would bet a lot of money that it's below 50% in Yahoo leagues. Okay, I know you all are sleeping on Najee Marshall. Wake up. Stephon Castlebrew. Okay, Friday night, 25 points in 26 minutes. Yesterday, 27 and 4. You've seen the Barnes playing time shrink, the Paul playing time shrink, and Castle's playing time is it. I want more, but it's solid. Okay, go pick up Castle if he's on your waiver wire. And then I want to get into one more guy here, Brew. Trey Jones of Chicago, must-add pickup right now. Lonzo Ball is doubtful for tonight's game. I would assume moves out for the year. And Trey Jones is now the starting PG for Chicago. Last 2 games, he has averaged 17, 5 and 5, half a block, 1.5 steals, 1 3. And Brew, I do think we're probably contractually obligated, a line I've said 3,000 times in my career without an issue until today, to talk about Keon Ellis, because he had a pretty fine line on Friday. Yesterday was different.
Yesterday was Friday was great.
Different?
Yesterday here, I sat at the pharmacy. Shout out to the great employees of the CVS at Citrus Heights in Sacramento. Fine people, you guys were great. I love you all, but could you guys get these people some help? Because I sat there for 2 hours as we over at the Casa de Bruski are sick as dogs. But yeah, no, as I was in there, I was watching the game, and I couldn't really watch it on my phone very well. Got back as I got my nighttime NBA work cooking and watched that thing. So basically, first of all, the Clippers are something else. Like, just I don't want to face them in the playoffs if I'm another team. I mean, James Harden was cooking, and Kawhi Leonard was starting to be Kawhi Leonard. But you want to talk about amazing stuff like Keon and Harden going at each other for the first half was something of just like an art performance, because James Harden's this Mr. get everybody to foul him guy, and Keon's just diving around him and not biting and being super effective. The Jake LaRavia I guess showing in Sacramento has been super interesting. He had some great defensive efforts in that game. It was a really fun game to watch, but it had so little stats. Like there was it was like 110 to 105, I think, was the final in overtime. So the stats weren't there for mostly anybody in that game. So Keon's stats sucked. We'll just call it what it is. But he's locked in as long as Malik Monk is out. And really, he's just he's solidified his place in Sacramento. I don't think there's any doubt about what he brings to the table there. And then statistically, it'll either be boom or bust on the nights that he gets, like, say, combined 8 threes, steals, and blocks. And then the nights that he only gets 3, if he's not actually participating in the offense, then it might actually get a little bit bad. But I'll take the 3 steals, blocks, and threes that he had last night. But with respect to waiver wire pickups, before I go on a Keon Ellis rant here, which is very possible. That was your fault, Rick. You brought him up. Who else do I have on my list? I got Brooklyn Nets with their 5 games this week. I think that there's a Day'Ron Sharp for somebody out there. There's a Zaire Williams for somebody out there, and a Keon Johnson for somebody out there. I think that's worth a mention ahead of a 5-game week. Miles McBride. Are we still hot on Miles McBride? I mean, he had a bad first game. I feel like a lot of people dropped him, but I feel like the good game's coming. The good game's
So, Brew, we're on the same page here. Last week I told people, yeah, he's a pickup because he's going to play a lot with Brunson out, but you got to know he's going to give you 3 butt games, and then he's going to give you a great one. This is Miles McBride, and it might be 2 horrible games and a good one. I don't know what that ratio is going to look like, but I know this, Brew, it ain't going to be great every night because he's Miles McBride and he's a bench player. Now starting, there's going to be a law of diminishing returns, and we got that. He had a dreadful line Was it the Clipper game? Yeah, it was the Clipper game on Saturday because Brunson blew the tire on Friday. So I'm not mad at people for sending him back to waivers because, as we've talked about, Najee Marshall, Stephon Castle, there's other guys, right? But McBride is a streamer for me right now, Brew. Even with Brunson out, he is not ascended past streamer because I'm not a huge Miles McBride guy. He's just too inconsistent to me.
Before we get out of this segment, I do want to say Ty Jerome needs to be a must roster player. You know, these quiet games when they're playing Milwaukee, like, and this is like life and death for both squads. Ty Jerome's only getting 19 minutes. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. The 23 points with all the goodies is right around the corner. So don't forget about Ty Jerome. And, you know, you want to get really sneaky. Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe. I think these guys are about to go off. So I don't know that they're must-add players, but I don't know. I like the upside.
God, Aaron Wiggins every night. I mean,
He's crushing people.
The punt game that they had on Friday, right, where they still trucked. I think it was Portland resting all the guys. Aaron Wiggins just had a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander line, 30 points with a bunch of goodies. No big deal.
You know, there's been a couple times I turn on the game real quick and he's got the ball and I'm like, is that Jalen Williams? Like, is that Shea? Oh, damn it, that's Aaron Wiggins. Crap. They have all of the players. Like Oklahoma City is their B team, their C team is better than most teams in the league. It's crazy.
I mean, my boy Usman Jang fired off on Friday night. I streamed him in Sam Hinkie's letter. I mean, let's go here.
That's a name that was on my list.
That's my boy.
It's happening. At some point, that's happening. It's going to be great. People be like, who's that guy? The 16th player.
When OKC does this line change rest thing, I'm telling you, stream Usman Jang. And as we do the preview shows, they'll be telling you that as well. But he's got a net. You've given me a phrase, stat set. Usman Jang's got a great stat set. He's a goody guy. He's a 3 steal block guy. And we haven't really seen a lot of it yet. But and so we've checked all the boxes here. Me and Doc were laughing last week. I can't not bring up Kyle Filipowski on an episode. You can't not bring up Keon Ellis. And Doc can't not bring up Ty Jerome. And we've already hit on all 3 of them. And we're only 22 minutes in.
Can't not happen. Can't not happen. But hey, it is what it is.
These are our guys. They're obviously very, very fantasy relevant. All right, Brew. So what else do I have here? I've got him in my streamers for tonight, so I'll stay off of that. One more guy I wanted to mention it with must-add pickups here, and it's Zach Edey of Memphis. And I know I'm kind of wishy-washy with Zach Edey. He has these flows, and then he's like, dude, I gotta cut you now. But now I'm back. Okay, over the last 2 weeks, he's 10 points, 9 rebounds, 1.6 blocks. Over the last 2 weeks, all right, double-double with 1.6 blocks. Good stuff right there. Sunday against New Orleans, he went 6 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. All right, it's a deep league kind of thing, but Zach Edey's back on the radar. Andre has given us some breaking news here, Bruce. So let's run through some of this a little bit. We were talking about Utah. Colin Sexton's going to go tonight. Keontae George will not. Clarkson will not. Collins and Markkanen are questionable, and this is the second of a back-to-back. They're playing Boston tonight, so maybe this is a game where Utah plays it straight. All right. And so Filipowski, obviously, he's downgraded if Markkanen and Collins play. Keep your eye on that. And then let's sit on this one for a minute because this is pretty big. Nikola Vucevic says he's going to play tonight, Brew. So what are we doing with Zach Collins based on that news?
I think you got to just hang tight. I mean, it's not like Zach Collins is burning up fantasy leagues with all of the goodies, but occasionally, say 3-4 good categories from him. But this Vucevic playing, I mean, yes, they are in the 10 slot, Chicago, so they are in play for the playoffs. But the real issue here is that they don't care, and they've been in the 10 slot forever. And they're probably just going to play him sporadically, so he's fresh for a number 10 versus 9 play-in game. And so you're going to have maybe 1 out of every 3 games for Vucevic going forward. If they get super aggressive and he comes back and he's just going to keep playing, it would be a little bit of a surprise. But I really do think that this at best is like 2/3 of the games for him going forward. It may knock Zach Collins out, but I would wait and see and make sure this isn't just like a 1-game kind of appearance just to keep everybody happy.
I love the take. Vooch has been out with a calf. I'm not trying to put this on the young man, but a lot of times we've seen it. Like Van Vliet came back from an injury, immediately got hurt again. Suggs came back from an injury, immediately got hurt again. The inactivity sometimes will lead to that, right? More is more, as I always say as I fight against load management. I'm hanging in there with Zach Collins. Look, man, Zach Collins has played so well that I believe Billy Donovan's got to find 25 to 28 minutes a night for this guy. Has to. You think about Buzelis, okay? He only plays about half the game anyway. You play Collins a lot at the 4. You play Collins for the backup 5 minutes. Collins still might be at 28, 30 minutes, okay? Don't drop him. If we go 2-3 games out and Collins is playing 18 minutes and only backing up Vucevic, then we're going to send him back to waivers. Like we always say, don't fall in love with your waiver wire pickups. Be ready to cut them at a moment's notice. Cam Johnson going to play tonight. Jackson Hayes ruled out tonight. And Tyrese Maxey questionable with a finger injury. Andre Drummond is also questionable. And now an update as Tyrese Maxey is listed as out. And Brew, you think he's out for the year with Paul George and obviously with Joel Embiid. Any comments on any of that? Or are you ready to move on to the studs and duds?
We can get to the studs and duds. I think the LeBron injury may be something we should touch base on because Jackson Hayes is out. It's pretty much open season there in the front court. I was trying to figure out if there's anybody that I like there, and I kept coming back to Rui Hachimura possibly returning faster than maybe people think he would because they think they need him, and they also need to get their rhythm figured out with Luka as kind of the only guy and no LeBron there and try to figure out how things are working out with that attack. There was a lot of action on Dalton Connect this weekend in waiver wire fab settings. And that made sense to me because of course you take LeBron out, you need more offense. You got to get it from somewhere. Who are you going to get it from? It's not going to be Jared Vanderbilt. And that's the other name that's currently active and in play. So somebody in that front court will probably be relevant for a week or two here. And the question is just who. And the leader in the clubhouse might be Jared Vanderbilt, which is funny because not funny, but not funny, but like interesting funny because he hasn't done anything for so long. And he was the fantasy, not darling, but he was somebody that people wanted to be good for, about 2-3 years ago. And here he is, he's got a shot after waiting to get back into the league due to injury for such a long time. It'd be a nice story if he was good, but nothing obvious there. And if it is Dalton Connect, that would be interesting as well because the guy was traded and then he wasn't.
There's not an obvious pivot here. A lot of times there is, and there's not an obvious pivot here at all. I'm hands to God. I need more data. I need to see Connect do some things. I need to see Vanderbilt do some things. Jackson Hayes is not going to play tonight. And so I don't know. Christian Wood, he's no longer there.
Yeah, I know. And then one other thing before we get into studs and duds is with Amen Thompson missing 10 to 14 days, I think Jabari Smith has been dropped in a lot of settings. And now, not only do you take away a positional, a player who plays his position kind of, and that may free up more minutes. You also have the question mark with Fred VanVleet. And so that in addition, the two things combined, they're going to need more offense in general. So here's a guy that's been probably dying to get his hands on the ball a little bit more. So he might actually be consistent at a late round top 100 level going forward, which is good enough in a ton of leagues. So he's somebody to give a hard look at.
Cam Whitmore as well, Brew, when, Ime doesn't go real deep in his rotation. And Whitmore is kind of that when a dude or two is out, we go with Cam Whitmore. When they're full, then Cam Whitmore doesn't really play. So
Reed Shepard out as well. So
good point. With Amen and Van Vliet's questionable tonight. He may play, but we know how this goes. I don't know. I literally have no idea if he's going to play tonight. I kind of doubt it because it was a re-injury, but Cam Whitmore, and I'll talk more about him when we get to the streamers for tonight's action. But Amen is out, not good. He's been rolling, and it sucks. All these injuries right now suck, right? It's just a horrible time of year. Playoffs around the corner for the guys. We're in the fantasy playoffs right now, rocking without Brunson. We're rocking without Braun. We're rocking without Amen. It's not good. And a lot of us are rocking without Brandon Williams this week too, who was a brief revelation. All right, studs and duds. Pardon me, Brew. The number one stud, Nikola Jokic. His averages over the weekend, 27, 17, and 15, thanks to the 30-20-20 game. 2 steals, 1.5 blocks, 2.5 threes. Wow. Desmond Bane rolling. 28, 12, and 7 was his PRA over the weekend. 2.5 steals, 1 block, 2 threes per game. And I knew it. Miles freaking Bridges. And I going through the box scores, I wrote down a couple of these guys just in case Andre didn't have them. Not that Andre wasn't like doing the work, but just in case he viewed it a different way. But Bridges over the weekend, 36, 10, and 3, 1.5 steals, 3 threes, and had the game-winning block on Saturday night, Brew.
Oh, I mean, come on. It just massive performances all the way around. It's the Jokic stuff is crazy. It's crazy that we are in a league that's got Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and people were talking about Wemby ending fantasy leagues, and these guys have just been absolutely lights out. And I just, it's a pleasure to watch. Desmond Bane, written off by so many people as a bust in the first month of the season, and he's just trucking along. And then Miles Bridges, kind of, you worry about Charlotte and having nobody that's good in fantasy leagues down the stretch, and then he's just killing it. So great stuff all the way around. And you are on mute, sir. You can talk as much as you want. Nobody will hear it.
Oh, I didn't know. My bad.
You were all the way on mute. Now you're back.
What was I saying? I forget. I had a good point too. I am so sorry about being muted right there. All right, folks. Oh, it was on Charlotte. LaMelo Ball off the injury report, and he will go tonight. Let me look at Andre's honorable mentions. He did not have my guy, but that's okay. He had Jordan Poole returned, had 34 points with 7 threes, and Emmanuel Quickly had a 34, 5, and 5 with 6 threes. I just wanted to, and this is why I like come up with my own list just for like a shout out purpose. Walker Kessler, man, 18, 25, and 8 on Friday night, and a huge double middle finger salute to his boss, Danny Ainge. Bruh, you could get this every night if you freaking played me, okay? And the way they've been rocking, Kessler has not been included in the vet tank. The Collins, Markkanen, Sexton, Clarkson tank. I mean, they're not playing him in back-to-backs, which I get. And hopefully, like, just do this, Utah. Just do this. Just play Walker when he's healthy and not ill, and he's not in a part of a back-to-back. Just do that. I think we'll all be happy with that because you're Utah and you're tanking and we'll take it.
But the key there, I think, is that they're trying to rehab his trade value.
Point.
And that's like, you got Lauri Markkanen, he's stocky and going nowhere. And John Collins is the strangest well-paid journeyman in the NBA. And like, I can't even I just don't even understand the John Collins story. At one point, he's in like the conference finals with Trae Young making big dunks down the stretch. And then he's just, nobody wants the guy. His own team doesn't, but I don't even put it on John. I put it on like the weirdness in Atlanta that you probably know a lot about, being close to that. And even just out in Utah, it's like he was a good trade candidate and then nothing came of it. Nobody needed him. Sacramento didn't need him. He was probably the only fit with Sacramento. And it was, so he just kind of chugs along and he'll be there next season as well.
It's a bit tragic for John. He was on the ascent with Atlanta. He got paid. They haggled over the contract for at least a year and a half. The second the Hawks paid him $25 million a year, they hated the contract, immediately wanted to trade him after doing that. They gave him to Utah for a song and a dance in Aaron Bruski's t-shirt. They literally gave him to Utah, okay? Utah gave up nothing. And now Utah is in a tank, and they never play him. So it's just, but he's a hell of a player. If you go to Basketball Monster right now, look at the season average. I know he's played like 20 games, right? But the average of your stat line, right? 18, blah, 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 blah. I'll do it right now. I bet you John Collins is top 40 rated for the season. If you don't go based on games played, but you just go on stat line. Let me look for my boy John Collins here. Because I know
48 is my guess.
He's at 44. Very close, Brew. Very close. He's at 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, 1.5 threes. One of the only guys in the league to be 1-1-1. 53 from the field, 85 from the line, and he's played 38 freaking games on a tanky Utah team. Dude, I don't get it. John Collins can play. Fans love him. He flies through the air with the greatest of ease. He makes 3 balls. He came up clutch for Atlanta a bunch of times in big playoff games. I don't get it. All right, let's reel it in and get to some duds here. Actually, first we'll go to waiver wire performances of the weekend. Najee Marshall, I already told you about his stats. Brandon Williams, talked about him as well. 22, 5, and 6 were his averages, and that was in one truncated game with 2 steals and 2.5 threes. He's 24% rostered. I don't know. You're probably in a fantasy playoff scenario, and you need the man games, and I think he's going to miss some time here. So I don't know if I honestly, I haven't made my rounds today. I did the, my show and this show. I haven't even made my rounds today, Brew. I don't know what I'm doing with Brandon Williams yet. I'm not going to cut him, but he's not going to be I and J yet. So that means I got to carry him. And so it's decision time, man.
How was that show with Howard? What'd you guys all do? What'd you guys all talk about on that show?
Very good. So it's the Sports Ethos NBA show with Rick Kamla. Brew, Andre, thank you for this great platform. I'm loving it. Boy, what did me and Howard talk about? We talked about MVP. He has SGA for MVP, but he hasn't put it to bed yet. And because I asked him, did SGA win MVP yesterday? And he said, no, you can't win it with one game. He doesn't believe in like signature games and, it's an 8-game run. And I largely agree with him, although I do think that there are signature games that do count. I do. He doesn't. And what else did Howard tell us here?
Because Jokic had a signature game, 30-20-20. That I mean, I don't know if Jokic even cares about this stuff, but in terms of an answer to the stretch of the last 2 months of dominance from Shea, it's the one thing I'll add to that discussion is the box score for Oklahoma City. As somebody that's read every box score for the last 10 years and more, there's been a phenomena with that OKC box score. They are so good that everybody is better in the box score than maybe they would be somewhere else, even though there's a crowding effect. Normally, when you get a crowd, the stats disperse and you don't have, there's not enough basketballs to go around, and it's just not happening that way in OKC. Shea gets his every single night, and it doesn't matter if everybody else got theirs as well. That's just very, very, very historic stuff. And so I kind of wonder, maybe are we overrating the Shea stuff just a little too much? But it's hard to say. And when you watch him play, that I completely forget that side of the argument. I go, no, this guy's amazing. He deserves it all.
Yeah, it's look, it's a great debate. I just think for every oh my God line that Jokic has put up, SGA's put up an oh my God line. Like he's had many, many 50s. He's had many 40s, leading the league in scoring, leading the league in 30-point game, all that kind of stuff. So, and really, to me, the most important thing, Brew, is a 12-game lead over the rest of the West. They're up 12 games. They're not up 5, which would be very, very significant. They're up 12 games, dude.
And it's
How
not
does
like
Jokic overcome SGA for MVP with his team 12 games behind SGA's team in the standings? I just don't understand that. I don't see how that's possible.
No, and it's not like the West is full of patsies. The East wants to be the West. The West is got all these great teams. And that 12-game lead, it speaks a lot. I would guess Shea gets it this year. I'm sure Vegas agrees at this point. But it was interesting to see Howard join the show. He's one of the best in the business. He's been a national guy forever, and I'm just curious what he's up to because he's not on Twitter anymore. He's over at Blue Sky. I never get to see the guy tweet anymore.
Yeah, he is with The Ringer now.
Nice.
Yeah, you got to go to Blue. He said he only puts out basketball content on Blue Sky. And he has great basketball content. So go over to Blue Sky, guys, and check him out. The great Howard Beck. It was fun. And so check out the show. It was, I put it out at Rick Kamla Sports. It'll be out at Ethos Fantasy NBA and Sports Ethos on all of our platforms here. Andre wrote down Nicholas Batum, 2 games, 13 points, 4 rebounds, half of an assist, 1 steal, 1.5 blocks, 4 threes. Must have been a slow weekend. And then he's got Cole Anthony here. 1 game, 22, 4, and 9. Wait a minute. He's trolling me with that. Andre's trolling me.
That's very much an Andre thing to do.
Andre, please tell me you're trolling me with that, because I'm reading through this right here. Not the Nicholas Batum thing, although I'm kind of like sarcastically, is Nicholas Batum still actually in the league? Wow. Starting, actually playing well with the Clippers. Yes, all of this is true. But Cole Anthony, me and Doc had a conversation last week. He was talking about Cole Anthony as a streamer or whatever the heck we were doing. And I was like, are you serious right now? Like, legit, are you serious? I busted his balls. I'm like, Cole Anthony, we've been down this road all year, bro. Suggs has played 1 game, okay? And Anthony, he'll give you 1 pop game and 4 absolutely dreadful games. Like, I can't do the roller coaster anymore. I've been out on Cole Anthony for 2 to 3 months. I have gone so far, Bruce, to say every single Orlando Magic player other than Franz and Paulo is dead to me. I don't care about any of them because they all suck in fantasy basketball. So Andre's got to be trolling me with that Cole Anthony.
There's a couple things going on here with Cole Anthony. First of all, he's the top 50 player over the last 5 games in 9-cat formats over the last 2 weeks. Okay, top 50. All right, that's good. Okay, yeah, Cole Anthony, 13 points, 2 threes, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Okay, we're in normal land right now. This is what happens when he's good. 45% shooting. Okay, it's a little suspect, or sus, as the kids would say. And then you get to 1.6 blocks per game. That's not normal, folks. Cole Anthony does not get 1.6 blocks per game. So what does this mean? If he continues in a 25-minute role or a 28-minute role or a 29, 30-minute role, maybe he'll score a little bit more than these numbers. Maybe he will have something close in most of these departments, but the shooting usually falls off for him at some point, and he's not going to get 1.6 blocks. Probably a top 100 play the rest of the way if things go well. But then the consistency issues, those are probably going to piss you off. So that in a shallow league, or if you're really just gunning for the gold, I don't know if Cole Anthony will be that guy, but he's definitely worth a look. They need offense from somebody, and then getting it from Goga. Goga's like down in the dumps. He's just like not even playing basketball, it feels like these days. So they have 2 engines. That's it. And the third one would be Cole Anthony. So if he can be that guy, then he could be a top 100 play the rest of the way.
I get everything you're saying. I don't disagree with anything you're saying.
But you're just not in no matter what.
I've been, it's us fantasy guys, like, when you go there and you get let down, you go there and you get let down, you go there and you get let down, and you're just done. You've closed up shop. And I moved on to other guys. To wit, okay, Cole Anthony's last 5 games. Let's get into it. 22, 4 and 9, 3 blocks, 1 steal, 4 threes. Immaculate line, okay? He's capable of this. It just doesn't happen very often. Game before that, 24 and 3, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 threes. Again, I like that, okay? Game before, I don't like this. 7 points, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. No, that's waiver wire garbage. Okay. Game before that, pretty good. 11, 7, and 4, 3 blocks, 1 3. And then the game before that, another one of these, what the hell, dude? 6 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, no steals, no blocks, 2 threes. You guys knock yourself out with Cole Anthony. Knock yourselves out. I ain't going back.
The players that have consistency issues are you almost have to play them when they're bad, because if you wait for a player to have 2 or 3 good games and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. Well, guess what? They don't have it in them to have the 4th. So you really do need to think about that, as you're making your pickups on these players. I want to wait till Cole Anthony has the 7, 1, 1, and 1. And then pick them up right after that and see how that goes.
Yeah,
nobody wants to do that.
Such a good point, because guess what's coming up Cole Anthony's next game? The 5, 3, and 5. Okay, coming off of back-to-back 20s. That's how his pattern goes. Mm-hmm. Who's right? To go with Cole Anthony coming out of the wreckage of a horrible game or 2, you're probably going to get that pop game. But chasing the pop with Cole Anthony is not a good way to do fantasy business. Okie dokie. Let's get to the duds of the weekend. Jeremy Sohan, yikes. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Brutal. Kelly Oubre, golly, Kelly, you're my dude, but I may have to say goodbye. I am heavily invested in Oubre. based on 6-2-2 over the weekend, based on what you said, Brew, about Philly, as Nick Nurse mentioned him in terms of like pulling back and easing up and that kind of thing. And then echoing my point on Orlando here, outside of Paulo and Franz and maybe a half a Cole, Wendell Carter Jr., 7 points, 4 rebounds, no assists. I'm telling you, I've been out on the Wendell Goga thing for a while. And so any comments there on Sohan, Oubre, or Wendell?
I do want to talk about San Antonio. I should have probably talked about this earlier in the show, but we'll stick with Orlando for a second. It feels to me like Paolo might be pressing, because he sees himself as a top player in the league, and this team is struggling. They're just having a bad season, and he's taking so many shots, and he's just kind of when he returned back to the offense, all the gravity in the world went to him. Now Franz is going to get his, and now you got these uneven stat lines from everybody else on the team. It's the classic unhealthy box score. I need to do more on this out there. When you see box scores where like 1 or 2 players are doing well and everybody else is struggling, that's not great. Or the health of a box score can tell you a lot about a team. And this team's got 2 engines and that's it. And so Wendell Carter at best is like a late round guy. When things are going really, really well, he's not in the fantasy picture for me at all. Kelly Oubre talked about Philly. They're probably, I don't think Oubre will not play, but I think the minutes might be down, and I think he might take a couple extra games off here and there, unless they really do cut the entire cord, which could be possible, and he could be a part of that group. The Spurs are really interesting. There was a quote from Michael Wright about 4 or 5 days ago that said, it was from De'Aaron talking about a very specific date, De'Aaron Fox, that is, talking about a very specific date that he might consider surgery on his pinky. He's had 2 messed up fingers on his shooting hands all season long. And it's the stuff that doesn't rise to the threshold of taking time off. It just rises to the threshold of impacting things like percentages and efficiencies. And the minute that Wemby got hurt, the very next thought that I had, especially as somebody who's super invested in Foxes, I was like, that means he's going to get that surgery on his hand, isn't it? About a week later, here comes this little innocuous tweet. I want to say it was like a Friday night or something from Michael Wright. So basically what's going to happen with San Antonio in about a week, I guess, is either we'll get great news that De'Aaron's like, no, I'll do it in the offseason, and then that will be that, or Fox is out, and now all of a sudden this team is completely wide open. So Jeremy Sohan with his 7, 5.5, and whatever it was, that's not great, but there's going to be time for these guys to everybody else that's down roster to get a shot. So your Julian Champagnes is somebody that I was, early in the year for the first half of the season, I was super stoked about the performance that he was bringing. And then Devin Vassell came back and sort of ruined that. But your Keldon Johnsons, who get the ball in their hands a lot, your guy Stephen Castle is going to go off. Percentages be damned, but they're going to probably just run out Castle, Sohan, Vassell, maybe even pull Vassell back at some point because of injury concerns. And then you're going to just maybe even see Blake Wesley get minutes. But I think Champagnes, is a guy that they've trusted in the past and somebody that can fit around a lot of different configurations. I think he might get up into the 27, 28, 29 minute range and might start looking at some 16, 17, 18 point games with about 3 or 4 triples, some steals. And you might see the reward to Champagnes for basically being a good soldier and playing about 15 minutes per game while the cavalry came back, while they actually made their push with their guys, so to speak. And now they're going to give him the gift back and say, okay, here's your minutes back. So San Antonio is super interesting in about a week.
That's Aaron Bruski. I'm Rick Kamla. We're the Fantasy NBA today. We have Andre Lemouche with us as well. Before we move on to the Monday preview, take a moment to download the Sports Ethos app for the top fantasy tools and real-time updates on all the news that matters for your teams. It's free. Get it now. The Sports Ethos app. So, Brew, some streamers for Monday. Let's. I'll get us into this a little bit. I give you all Cam Whitmore. And I promised that we'd talk about this a little bit. They're playing Orlando tonight. I don't care who the opponent is. I just know that Cam Whitmore is going to get minutes now with Amen Thompson out. And if Fred VanVleet is out, it's going to mean even more goodies for Cam Whitmore. But he is a guy that spikes when Ime Udoka dusts him off. He doesn't need time to ramp up. I mean, he'll go 25 points in 23 minutes. Okay, he's an explosive scorer. Reminds me a lot of Cam Thomas up in Brooklyn. Andrew Nebhard with an asterisk, Brew. Andrew Nebhard is a go if Halliburton does not play tonight against Chicago. Hallie is questionable. He's missed a couple of games here. And Nebhard's been very activated in these non-Halliburton games, as you might expect. Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart are out tonight. That means we fire up a man named Bub Carrington. Justin Champagnie and Keyshawn George probably should already be rostered on your team. I'm rostering Keyshawn George. He is not a waiver wire guy or a streamer for me. The goodies are too good. The threes, the blocks, the steals are just too good. I'm keeping him. Luke Cornett of Boston with Porzingis doubtful. Horford is questionable. This could be one of Bruski's favorite players, Luke Cornett, with a 10-10 with 5 blocks. May happen tonight. And then, and I'll take a little bite out of this because I want to talk more about this in our prop section. But Russell Westbrook, Brew, no Aaron Gordon with the calf. At least he injured it yesterday. I don't think he's going to play tonight. Russ started the second half for Gordon. Russ loves back-to-backs. Okay, so it's a back-to-back. I'm feeling sorry for myself. No, Russ is like, we got a game? Cool, let's go play. And he's dancing and doing his thing before the game. He's Russell Westbrook, okay? It's another revenge game in OKC. And here's the most important factor of all. Russell Westbrook absolutely sucked yesterday, okay? That ain't happening in back-to-back games. Brew, get us into some top 5 streamers.
Yeah, I want to. So I'll save a little bit of that for the betting section as well. But gosh, there's a reason why Michael Malone loves Russell Westbrook, and that dude. No matter what you want to say about the big picture with him, what a gamer, what a competitor, and one of the players that I'll remember from this era at the tops of my lists. Okay, some random streaming names. I got a good one for you. Terry MNF Rozier. This dude has sucked all season. This dude is at the center of controversy. And this dude is going back to Charlotte, where it all started. And he's been playing 29 minutes a game, and it's pretty bad stuff, like sub 40% shooting. Check. Some turnovers, lack of defensive stats, and pretty much low numbers. 12 points, 2 threes, 3 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal over that 4 games. Nothing great, right? So I wonder what's going on with Miami in the sense that they just look like they don't care about this season, that they're going to rest their guys. And if Terry Rozier has a basketball bone left in his body, I think it starts to show right now, right here, where it all started in Charlotte for him. And I mean, yes, he was with Boston, but as far as like scary Terry getting his name out there and having his run, it's Charlotte. So all these Miami guys actually are worth a look. Haywood Highsmith, Duncan Robinson, Davion Mitchell, all these guys, Kyle Anderson, even if you're in a real deep league and you need to get some streamers, but Terry Rozier. Let's see, who else do I got? Orlando Robinson, I think, is worth a look. I know you got him on your 30 deep squad. The Wizards get Toronto, or probably Toronto gets the Wizards. So there's a lot of possibility there. It's not bad, a very bad basketball team. And Orlando could, Robinson, that is, could actually have a decent stat line. Who else is interesting? Kevin
Pirtle is
Huerter
out tonight too, bro. Just wanted to add that in. Pirtle is not playing tonight.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is actually, I think, where Walker Kessler did his damage the other day, is they just don't have the big to do anything to cover that. We got Buddy Hield in a slump with Brandon Pajemski out, and you got Portland coming off of the tight loss to Detroit in the back-to-back. So fresh legs, and Buddy Hield in a slump is a great opportunity for some pop game there. And then Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe. I don't know if they're available in your leagues. I would bet Joe is and Wiggins isn't. But if one of them is not, these guys were really bad. And I do think that Oklahoma City, after beating Denver the first time in this revenge back-to-back against Titans in the West, you're going to see some interesting stuff we'll talk about in the betting section. But with Wiggins and Joe not getting theirs in game 1, and the big names probably saying, hey, you know what? We got our win. We're a little bit happy here. We'll let the bench do the heavy lifting in this one. I think Wiggins and Joe could have some big games in this second set here tonight. I got other names, but I think I'll pass.
It's a good list as is, Brew. I'm just quickly looking to see if some of the guys that I want to play props on. Hey, there is a line on my boy Stefan Castle. Okay.
Dalton Connect. Throw Dalton Connect in there.
Are you okay? So let's get to. So there's some streamers for you. Okay, so let's get to Brew, your ATS picks for tonight. You going any games stand out against the spread?
Yeah,
for
you know
tonight?
what, man, I've been enjoying this section because I did capping for I think a full season, maybe two, here at Ethos when we started up our wagering platform, and it was so much fun, and I learned so much, and I got so good at fantasy as a result of capping, and vice versa. It was just like the perfect thing. And
they do feed each other, don't they?
They feed each other so well, and you get to know a lot about teams at a level that you never thought you would know. And I was looking at this slate last night, and I was like, this is a dog slate. This thing sucks. Like every single game had these neon green lights saying, don't take it, don't take it, don't take it, don't take it. And but I came up with three that I thought rose above the threshold, and there may be just one or two reasons not to take the game at hand. Let's start with the one we've been talking about, Denver +9 in the revenge game. Revenge games are very, very, it's a common thread in betting. If I lose one to you, I want to get that one back, especially with the way that Denver lost that game. It was a lot closer than the number would suggest. The reason why you don't take it, Aaron Gordon calf, is one. The other is that Oklahoma City is that good. And that alone is enough to scare me. But Denver +9 in a pride matchup, I think that they cover that number. So I'll take Denver +9. I got two others after that, but I'll let you go.
I looked at that one.
Yeah, it's scary, right?
I love your angle, and I can't do it, Brew. And I'm not trying to sit here and like pour salt on your pick. I just
salt it.
It's just it's OKC, man. It's OKC. And I presume all their guys are playing. Shep might not play, but it just doesn't really matter. They just buzzsaw everybody. The game was close. The fourth quarter was 41-20, like you said. Probably a closer game than it looks like cosmetically, but I know it's 9.5 or 9 or whatever. Gordon's probably not going to play. OKC has like their 13th man could be like in the top 8 of the rotation in Denver. So I don't know. I looked at that. If I had to play it, I would take the Denver side plus the points, Brew. But the mightiness of OKC has me scared. All right, so let me give you one that I do like. I do like Brew, and I've got 2.5 here. I like Houston -4.5 at home against Orlando. I assume that's at home. Help me out if let me go to the schedule here real quick.
That's at home. And actually, I never update my odds in the morning before the show.
It is in Houston because
it is in Houston, and that one it's -4.5 for Houston. That's what I liked as well with that one.
Nice,
but I didn't. That wasn't something I was going to take. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about Orlando really, really, really wanting to get back on track and really treating this game as very important. And then Houston, you've got the Fred VanVleet, whether he plays or not. I almost look at it as a bad thing if he plays. Like the fluidity of the team will be all messed up, and that ultimately was one reason that I got off of that game. And then just overall, no Amen Thompson. That does. You've taken another offensive engine off of the floor, and with regards to Alperen Şengün, he's not the biggest, baddest man on the floor. If they want to stick Paolo Banchero on him or Wendell Carter Jr., these are players that aren't going to get pushed around so easily by Şengün. So like a couple different issues there. But in terms of pure talent, Houston should wallop them at home, -4.5. Like I think that you put the two squads together and measure them out, Houston should absolutely win this game. I looked at that and I said, yeah, Houston should win that game. And then I thought about all those angles that I just said, and I went, I don't want to do that. And here we are.
It's the way our minds work, man. And like you with the Denver OKC thing, it's just you got to get the tickle, all right? And I don't have the tickle on
usually
Denver
on
OKC.
A 5-game slate, there's one game, and I'm like, yes, that's the one. 12 or whatever, and I was like, I don't like any of these, but here we are.
So I like Houston -4.5 here, guys. I understand what Brew is saying, and I know that Orlando's got to get up and go here, right? But they don't have their spirit animal. Jalen Suggs is out for the year. They are a dead carcass of a team. Yes, they just went into Milwaukee and beat the Bucks. I saw it. I enjoyed it. They lost their previous 5 games, okay? They are not healthy now. They didn't fix it. They won a game. That's all they did. If you don't have Suggs, you don't have heart. Orlando does not play with heart, okay? And they're going to Houston to play a team. Every single guy in the team's got 3 hearts. That's how much heart they play with, okay? They play harder than you. They want it more than you. And that vibe is going to prevail here tonight. Fred VanVleet might play. I like it anyway, because like I said, Cam Whitmore is ready to explode. The other one that I like here, Brew, and like I said, I got a halfer that maybe I'll vet with you. But I like Golden State minus 11.5 tonight at home against Portland. Here comes the schedule loss for the Blazers. Second of a back-to-back, 3rd game in 4 nights. I'm smelling a blowout, folks. They suck on the road, Portland does. They're very good at home. They suck on the road. Young team, road, it makes sense. They've lost 3 straight games on the road. Golden State is rolling, and they're dominating teams. Okay, they're not just winning every game by 2, 3, 4, 5 points. They're winning by 15, 25. This is a Chase Center game. It's going to be a Warriors party. And Curry always seems to go off on the Portland Trailblazers. Okay, so I do like GSW minus 11.5. What else you got, Brute?
Am I allowed to piss in your Wheaties on that game, or should I just keep it moving? I'll keep it moving. I know now that I said it, I got to piss. This Portland squad, I really like. I want to turn the page on them. I do, because they just fell something like 4 or 5 games out of the play-in, and I think that loss last night to Detroit was massive. It was, you talk about schedule losses. Detroit had just in their 3 or 4 game road trip, the 2 losses that they had, they were so tight. You know, this team could have easily lost that game against Portland because of their fatigue factor in not pushing through the barrier and actually getting the wins that they need to get. So they came into that Portland game and they gave it everything they had, and they were kind of staggeringly tired of all of the different things, and they got the win. And Portland now, they take that loss, and they've got 4 losses in their last 5 games after a really nice streak where they just won a bunch of games and lost against the really good teams, and then had their chance on this road trip. And we talked about that road trip. They needed to win early. They did. They were going to lose late, and they did. And now the moment of truth came with that Detroit game at home, and they lost it. And now they got the back-to-back, as you mentioned. They go to Golden State. I think that the air is either the wind is out of their sails, and they think that they're done for the season, and they have that blowout loss that you described, and that's why the number is what it is. Or they got one more fight in them. And that was the only thing that took me off of that game, because I agree with every single thing you said. I just was like, is this the last fight for this squad before they then have a 6-game homestand where it's a lot of mishmash of teams? But I think that the number in the play-in, when it gets so big, I think you can't bring your A game for that out at the end of an 82-game season with all the different agendas that play out. So Portland, anyway, that was my piss. Phoenix +5 over Memphis. This Memphis squad, I'm not sold on them at all. No Jaren Jackson. That's changing the dynamic of this squad big time. Phoenix, they are chasing the play-in. They beat Dallas. It was huge for them in the play-in. March. This play-in for them is a chance at some semblance of saving face. And I think that's going to power them along. And they do need to win some games early, because if they win the games early, it puts the pressure on Dallas, and Dallas will have even more pressure to fold. This game, +5, I didn't want to take it because I've seen like this, not these 2 squads play each other, but just like, I don't know, KD and Ja, and these 2 teams, I could see this game going either way, but Phoenix has the motivational angle to win into the play-in. So I like them there. And then Brooklyn +6 at home against the Lakers. Very similar situation to Portland. They're probably, for all intents and purposes, out of the play-in, but here they get a chance to push one more time. And the Lakers, they've got to figure it out with Luka. They got to learn how to play Luka ball. Like, this is the first time that they're going to have to play Luka ball, and I don't think that's going to be smooth. And you do have the front court absences, and Brooklyn 5 games this week. So they know that their entire season comes down to this week. I think they got one more push here against the Lakers, and after that, it's all bets off, because if they lose this game, they'll definitely be out of it, and we'll see how that goes.
It's interesting. I'm on the other side of the Phoenix-Memphis dealio, Brew. I'm on Memphis tonight.
Yeah, tell me why. Because I was so iffy on that.
if Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr. all need to play. Okay. Otherwise, I'm out on this. If they all play, then I'm on Memphis -4.5. Phoenix sucks.
They're bad. They're a bad squad. Yeah.
Like, guys, they are 4-9 in their last 13 games. Yes, they beat Dallas yesterday. Who cares? Dallas, currently constructed, is one of the worst teams in the league. They beat the Washington fucking Generals yesterday, okay? It doesn't matter. They're 4-9 in their last 13 games. And Brew, this is going to be a game of attrition. Memphis is on the a back-to-back, and it's a third game in 4 nights. Phoenix, back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. All right, both teams. But Phoenix is on a road trip. Okay. They've been traveling and getting into hotels late, and they may be a little weary here. Okay. And they're coming off of a win. Maybe pop that pressure bubble a little bit, maybe a little exhale. We finally won a damn game. Boom. Now you're going to the grindhouse, which is going to be feisty as it always is. But again, the 3-pack of stars for Memphis has to play. Otherwise, I'm not in on this.
It's a bad slate.
It's not a great slate. It's not a great slate, but there you go. There's your ATS offerings. Do you have any props, or is it time for Ricky props to step into?
You know what? I would hate to sully this segment with anything less than the greatest. Ricky props. The floor is yours.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Brew, I got a few props here, and then I've got some, and maybe the numbers are out now, but Vegas is killing me on some of these props. I like Mikal Bridges, Brew, over 17.5 points tonight as the New York Knicks. I got to get this schedule.
Yeah, they go to Sacramento tonight.
Yeah, the Knicks are at Sacramento, late night joint. That's going to be a really fun game. New York is a 2.5 point favorite in that game. It's going to be high scoring. It's going to be very entertaining. Typical late night sack games. A lot of the games I love so much. But with Brunson out, we already saw it in the first game after Brunson. Mikal Bridges automatically, presumably, pops up for 22 points, okay? Without Brunson, they need scoring made up. OG Anunoby and Josh Hart can't just push a button and go up to 25 a game. Mikal Bridges can, all right? So his number is at 17.5 right now. Very, very attractive at a -125, all over that one. I got a couple of Josh Hart bets for you. I'm over Josh Hart point prop at 14.5. He barely scored in the last game. I like the bounce back factor. It's sack. They're very forgiving. And he played 46 minutes in their last game. So we're back to full game Hart. That leads to all the goodies that we need. So I like the point prop over with Josh Hart. 14.5, it's -105. More money coming in on the under so far. I like the Josh Hart PRA over, or points, rebounds, and assists, at 31.5. I just did a quick thing. Like, he has 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. Okay. That's 17 plus 15 equals 32. Okay. Could Josh Hart tonight, in almost 48 minutes against Sac, go 15, 8, and 9? I think he's going to do a lot more than that in the PRA categories.
Look, I think I'm so sorry for stealing.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no. It's like I think I was so tempted to want to take Sacramento in this game last night, because I think the league at large doesn't understand how good Sacramento can be in the current configuration, with Keon Ellis playing the minutes that he's playing, which is Malik Monk out. It's a addition by subtraction kind of a deal. I don't think that the league is hip to that. But when I was playing this game out in my head, I was watching Karl Anthony Towns take Jonas Valanciunas to the woodshed from deep. Like, literally just the inability for Valanciunas to cover off of pick and roll, the drop that he has to play in. It's just all bets are bad for Sacramento in this particular matchup. And then if you get past Valanciunas, there's nothing behind him in terms of being able to cover Karl Anthony Towns. So what then my mind go to next? It was like guys like Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges are going to eat, because there's going to be so much action after the double team comes and after the defense is broken down. And these guys are natural cutters, especially Josh Hart, but Mikal Bridges, especially just catching secondary action off of the Karl Anthony Towns breakdowns that are going to occur on a virtual every play basis. Sacramento will be searching all game for that. And it's the beneficiaries of the secondary action that I think are going to get it. So when you say those props, I was just like, ding, ding, ding. Yep, that's going to happen.
So those are firm. All right. And then I got another firm one for you here. There is a point prop out on Stephon Castle. Thank you, Vegas. They withhold these point props to like get us going in another direction. Maybe we forget to go back and revisit. It's annoying as heck. They have most of the props out, but the real hot button guys where things are changing and guys are popping, it's so annoying. And I've through the, as Bruce says, capping that I've done for many, many years, this is not a new thing. This is how the books operate. They want to withhold these juicy upside guys from us until the very last moment. Stephon Castle being one of them. He's rolling right now, okay? His point prop tonight is 18.5. I'm going confidently over that. Let me take you through his last few games. 20, 25, 17, 32, 24, 22. Okay. And then before that was when they were messing with his minutes. But since they've been playing in minutes, he's over in 5 out of 6 games, and 17 was the bad game. Okay. So I like that. They're scooching up here a little bit, 18.5, but there's still anything below 20. There's still value for me with Stephon Castle. He's living in the 20s right now, and he's making a push for Rookie of the Year here. I like that. And then I have to generically give you 2 point prop overs without the actual number because Vegas is killing me. All right. Russell Westbrook. I don't care. It's going to be 10.5, 11.5, 12.5. I guess anything above that, start to get uncomfortable, right? But anything moderately low, right around his season average, bang the over. He's not going to have back-to-back dreadful games against OKC. I just don't think he's going out that way. And then Cam Whitmore. Vegas is like, I don't know what to do with Cam Whitmore. I don't. Fred VanVleet's, we don't know if he's playing yet. So I like Cam Whitmore's point prop over, even if Fred VanVleet plays. Okay, this is an Amen Thompson thing. So Cam Whitmore's point prop over. What, Brute? 10.5, 11.5, 12.5. Okay, like if it's 15.5, don't play it because they've squeezed all the value out of it. But 12.5, 11.5, 10.5, bang the over on Cam Whitmore's point prop. That's where I'm at.
Oh, hell yeah. I agree. In totality.
My guy. Aaron Bruski and Rick Kamla. We are done with our content, but we have questions, and we're going to take them as soon as we drop the curtain on this episode. Brew, anything you would like to promote here?
Just our MLB guys. These guys are freaking awesome. Like, they just do everything that you want a division to do, all the hard work, none of the complaints, none of the, diva stuff that you see out there. They're awesome, and their draft guide is out. It's baseball draft guide season. Rick, you're writing some amazing pieces, I might add. Thank you for that. Like, just the strategy stuff that you put out the other day. Just got my mind racing. I was like, I want to play fantasy baseball again. Yes, that is awesome. And so go check it out at sportsethos.com. There's a bunch of promo codes. MLB 2025, All Sport 2025, I believe, are the promo codes to get 25% off for 6 months. I'll get corrected here in a second if that's not right. Yeah, and they get to laugh at me. I should know these things, and I don't, and I'm so sorry. It's All Sport 25, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it's MLB 2025. But at any rate, if you don't know what the code is, ask us. Okay, those were correct. Got that. And then the app is just awesome. So go download the app. But the MLB guys deserve their shine. They're awesome, and go check out their work.
I appreciate that, Brew. I'm identifiable with basketball and all this kind of stuff. I've played fantasy baseball since 1986. Okay, I have crafted a proprietary formula that will, if you follow it, and you got to follow it and then do it during the year. Okay, it's a 6-month sojourn. But if you do it my way, you have a 50% chance of winning your league. That's amazing. Those are really good odds. If you do it my way, you have a 50% chance of winning your league. And so that's just where it's at. I love fantasy baseball. And just one more quick reminder, download the app. Go to your favorite app store, download the Sports Ethos app. It is amazing. So, and by the way, me and Dr. Ray will be on live midnight Eastern tonight with the fantasy goodies from tonight's Monday night slate. And then look, early on Tuesday, we'll have the preview heading into Tuesday night's games as well. So for Aaron Bruski, for Andre Lemouche, I am Rick Kamla. Thank you so much for watching the Fantasy NBA today. This episode's been brought to you by Bet Online. And now we're backstage with Cam and Brew. We're all sweaty from the show we just put on, Brew. Hair's dripping and we got sweat everywhere and there's groupies everywhere. No, there's not groupies. There's hoop heads that have questions.
I was going to say, I think you're in a fever dream, sir. None of that is true.
Not right now. Not right now. It's not. Ben Machado says, "Hey guys, 8-cat punt free throws. These guys love to punt the free throws. I'm into punting free throws. I punt free throws too, and then I just win it sometimes by luck. Do we like Russ or MPJ this week, assuming Aaron Gordon misses a couple of games?" I mean, Brew, you go first on this one, man.
I'll take Russ. I mean, MPJ's had a nice little run here, but like Russ has all of the groupies in Oklahoma City. He's ready to rock and roll. This is his old stomping grounds. And Russ, I believe, is a happily married man, and he's
I'm sorry for
doing the family.
I'm the single guy over here, man.
The single man over here is feeling his oats.
Trying to.
Trying to catch an eye of a young lady is what's going on over here. But Russ is just Russ just does things. Like if there's a basketball and a way, he's gonna find the way, he's gonna find the ball, and he's gonna put it into the hoop. And it's just, I just, from your punt free throw standpoint, I like that a lot.
I'm gonna say MPJ. I think MPJ really kind of takes off when Aaron Gordon is out. Otherwise, just kind of stands to the 3-point line, like, I'm open. I never get the rock, or rarely get the rock. So I would say MPJ with that. But we talked a lot about Russell Westbrook. I really like him tonight. I think he's a really good pickup right now. But given those two, I would take MPJ. Alan says Max Strus and Justin Edwards, a good hold this week. 9-cat, 14-team. Head-to-head. Brew, go ahead on this one.
Okay, so I believe Cleveland's got 3 games this week. I'm just checking it out right now, and that's going to make it a little bit tighter for Strus. Strus has been pretty interesting, like definitely a part of what's going on there, definitely successful. The assists aren't where they were last season when it was Magic Strus time. So that kind of takes a little bit of the buzz away. Edwards it's like Edwards has the more difficult road to climb. He can play all week long. He can get kind of 27-minute status no matter what. And then it's still going to be tough because they suck. And his numbers might just be all over the board. You might have a crooked percentage in there that really screws things up. Maybe you don't care about that. I think both of these players are worth holding. 14 teams head to head, absolutely worth holding. I think you probably, if you need to make a move, there's some nice object out there on the waiver wire. I think the Strus would be the drop. And even that I say with trepidation, because the minute they start resting guys in Cleveland, Strus is going to be the guy, one of the guys that gets the beneficiary status there. So I probably hold.
I'm just not a Justin Edwards guy, but you got to go where the minutes are. All right. He's played 3 of the last 4 games, 29, 31, 37. He's gone 11, 14, and 16 with the points. He's got 5 threes over those 3 games. He's got 14 boards, so he's at 5 boards a game. The D is light, frankly, 2 steals and 1 block, so he's at 1 defensive goodie per game. I need to see more, but I'm also not a Max Strus guy, right? He's caught up in the DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, who's going to have the game that night thing. So, Alan, I don't know. I'm not into either of them. Okay, I would say Justin Edwards because I think there's more upside there if it becomes really silly season for Philadelphia. All right, let's move on to our next question here. It is Cam. It is Brew. We are backstage answering questions. And Senzu says, love you guys. Well, Senzu, we love you too. I think Jose Alvarado should be an instant add. And I agree, but I'm salty with Jose, Brew, because he got us tantalized. He had like top 40 value over a 2-week stretch. I'm talking Brew language now. And then he had like 4 awful games. It was 3 or 4, Brew. I don't know if you're looking at his game log. It was, I think, 4 games of like, bro, that's a week of insert expletive here. So I caught him. But now it's been back-to-back good games, including an 11-11 double-double. So yes, if he's going to play like this and he's going to get the minutes, then he is a guy you want on your team.
Here's the thing with Jose. He is a top 120 guy in 9-cat formats on the season in 23.6 minutes per game. And he does this every time. Every year, it feels like in my B150 rankings, I've got Jose Alvarado so freaking high, and I got to bring him back because I know he's going to get hurt. And I know something weird is going to happen, and it's just not going to happen for him. But the value is there. So if he's got a clear path to value and it's really just tanking in his own injury status that could potentially hold him back, I can bet into that because maybe, just maybe, he gets his 27 minutes and then he will have plenty of value. But it's always going to be pissy, that Jose Alvarado.
He's a goody guy, man. He's a goody guy when he's rolling. The steals, the threes, the assists. I love his stat set.
Assists are so hard to find as well.
Indeed. Anthony Carrenta, who is a part of our NFL division. Anthony, what's up? Appreciate you, brother. And he plays fantasy basketball too. I love the versatility. Anthony, we got to get you on some WNBA fantasy. Let's really expand your reach, okay? Anthony says, what do you guys think about Keontae George rest of season and long-term 9-cat league? Go ahead, Brute.
Yeah, Dynasty, I really think the equation for him is going to be getting better players around him because he's got the skill, he's got the physicality. I mean, he crushed my hopes and dreams the other day with 2 late 3-pointers practically fading away out of the off the court for one of them. I mean, this is a guy who can make plays, and all of his problems come down to inefficiency. Well, he plays for a bad team that lets him shoot a lot. So if he can get a good ball handler, I don't know if it's if it's Isaiah Collier or not, but somebody who can just set him up. If he gets that guy, I think you'll see a nice boost to his value. And then from there, we just need to see, does he have the actual polish to his game to make everything work out? He takes a lot of bad shots, makes a lot of bad decisions, so he's going to have to reel it in there. So 2 things he needs to be solid. If it all works out for him, think like maybe peak DeJounte Murray would be a decent comparison there off the top of my head. So use that for your projections and kind of go from there.
I like it. So let me make a comment here on Keontae George. Dynasty League, obviously he's a young hot shot. You rock with him. Or attach him in a trade to try to get a little bit better. But you don't drop a guy like Keontae George, obviously, and Anthony knows that. Rest of season, I'm not psyched about him, okay? Because he's coming off the bench. The lines are very inconsistent. And I draft and waiver wire and I go for PRA and fantasy gold. All right. Points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, threes. And I'll leave the percentages to the whims of the fantasy universe. You can't have everything. If you're going hard after percentages, you're going to lose fantasy gold. It's just how it is. There's very few high percentage. Larry Markkinen's a perfect example. Very efficient player. Absolutely sucks when it comes to fantasy gold because he doesn't block or steal. Okay. Nikola Vucevic is another guy, not a fantasy gold guy. Doesn't block or steal, hits about 1.5 threes. I don't work with those guys, okay? But they're great percentage guys, okay? You can't have everything. So I leave the percentages to the luck of it, and I still win percentages a lot. But I stay very strong in PRA and fantasy gold, and it works for me. So for Keontae George, you look at the latest stat lines here. 25, 18, cool. Then didn't play, 12, 28, 5, 11, 21, 30, 20. Okay, it's a mess. It's a mess, but he is getting starters minutes coming off the bench. So there you go, Anthony. We appreciate you for playing ball with us. Vivek Patel says, what do you do with Maxey? Just dropped Amen to stream Lonnie Walker. Brutal cut on Amen. Had to do it. Look, fantasy playoffs are here. You can't lose man games. You got to make tough decisions. And the thing that sucks with that, Brew, is Yahoo leagues, it'll take the 3rd DNP for them to give you the INJ on a guy, usually, right? So you're going to have to carry Amen, but maybe because they've ruled him out for 10 to 14 days, maybe he already has the INJ. I haven't checked that out yet. I haven't made my rounds yet today.
You're at the whims of Yahoo. Exactly.
But the guys that aren't moved to INJ and you're losing man games, those are the guys you're going to have to cut. Okay.
Yeah, I would, and to get to his gravity here, I would cut Maxey. I hate to say it. He's a top 5 player at certain segments for long segments of the season. But if you're in a week, if you got to win a week, I don't think he's going to play again this season. So there you go.
Brandon Williams is questionable.
I really
like
lineup. Stick him in that lineup. I dare you. The only way I win is if you get a bunch of zeros. Do it.
I like the fact that he's questionable. They haven't ruled him out yet. I think they're going to rule him out, but they haven't ruled him out yet. Yeah, it is time to drop Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre ankle listed out.
Yeah, that ankle. It's been bugging him all season at 38 minutes a game.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I love Kelly Oubre, but I think
Washington's ankle's right there with it.
I think
Dallas doesn't want to play because they don't want any more attention on their basketball team.
Oh my God. Aaron Gordon is out. So activate the MPJ, activate the Russell Westbrook, all the stuff we talked about. What? Stephon Castle's questionable with his shoulder. That young stud's going to play anyway.
And that's crazy. I was wondering the other day if, what's his name? Jordan McLaughlin in San Antonio. Did I even get his name right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. He played in SAC. He was a guy that we actually cared about in fantasy every time he'd get minutes in Minnesota. Like, I think he might end up running the show in San Antonio. The tank is on. Like, they're racing at the top of this thing to try to maybe get like a top 6, 7, 8 pick in San Antonio.
Admiral Nita, Cole Anthony, Keontae George, or Scoot, 12-team 8-cat. I'm going to pass. I don't like any of them.
I think Scoot is really probably the guy here because Cole Anthony is iffy. I think Cole will be consistent and be in the top 100, 125, 150 range, but Scoot has a chance to go top 75.
I would say Scoot, and I've been on Scoot, but Jeremy Grant just came back. And I know Denny Abdi is out, but Grant just came back, and Sharp's playing well, and Simons is still in there, so it's just not. There's just a cap, it's 13 points, it's 5 assists, it's a steal, it's a 3. It's not a good enough.
For all your Cole Anthony questions, producer Andre Lamouche loves Cole Anthony, just loves him.
He does, actually. So and Jeffrey says, you seen Cole Anthony block Giannis? He looks like he has new life. Jeffrey, yeah, I saw it. And again, I like Cole Anthony. I don't like the fact that he's good for 1 game and horrible for 3 games. And I thought that win for Orlando was an anomaly. Would you drop Max Christie for Adem Bona, 9-cat head-to-head 12 teams? You doing that one? Says Frank Game Blouses from the Chappelle skit.
Yeah, I would do that. We just don't know. I think it's gonna be. We'll find out here tonight. But if he's gonna go get 3 defensive stats a night, or maybe 4 defensive stats a night, and get you good field goal percentage, which may or not matter to you, but it will be a lot of made buckets. It'll be like 60-70% at 10 attempts per game. But the rebounds will be there, the points will be there if it all works out. Max Christie, I don't know what's up with him. Like, he's had a lot of opportunity and it's really just faded lately. And it might be back to it might be back to your theory. What's his name in Dallas? My brain is all foggy. Najee Marshall, thank you very much, Brain, for kicking in. It might be just the case that he's better than anybody thinks he's been, for the last X amount of years in his career, and he is literally the guy. And Max Christie's just like, okay, well, I can't compete with that, and I can't get numbers now.
It's interesting. I think it's more of Max Christie has no legs. Max Christie is out of gas. He's never played like this, and we're getting deep into the season, and you see the shooting lines are falling. The minutes are still really high. Minutes 37, 34, 36, 29, 27, 34, 37, 22, 32. Like, that's rosterable stuff. Then you look at the points: 12, 8, 13, 10, 5, 8, 10, 2. The shooting lines: 4 of 5, 3 of 11, 5 of 16, 4 of 11, 2 of 6, 3 of 8, 4 of 13, 1 of 5. Homie out of gas, man. Homie's out of gas. That is what's up with Max Christie.
And you know who else is out of gas? Is producer Andre Lamouche. He's kicked this off the show like 5 times now. And we refuse to leave.
I love it. We have fun. We have fun answering questions, going backstage.
I love it. I could stay here another hour.
But me too, man. Me too. Andre said he can make up questions for us.
Oh, good.
But we are done. Me and Brew rock it 1 time a week, and this is one of the highlights of my week, Brew. Love hanging out with you, tapping in to the genius dome of one Aaron Bruski, and
you don't
here we go at 30 deep
of the so-called genius dome over here. It is not working today, and I assure you, there's no genius involved.
Well, you're a humble man, and there's a lot of phlegm going over there at the Bruski household. So you guys get better. Hopefully the antibiotics kick in like right now, and you're feeling better, dude. You can do the strongman emoji or whatever.
You got it.
My guy. All right. For Aaron, for Andre, and for all of you who we love so much, thank you for watching. I am Rick Kamla, and this has been the Fantasy NBA Today. Again, Doc and I will be back on tonight at midnight Eastern time, recapping Monday's stuff. Download the app. It's completely free, the Sports Ethos app. And this episode has been brought to you by Bet Online.